Hey, I'm Alexandra Herbushka, founder of Life with Herpes. We're gonna talk about how you're contagious with herpes 10% of the time. I have my laptop here because I do get this question all the time in the secret society. People will ask, well, what's the probability of me transmitting this to my partner? How often am I contagious? How do I know I'm contagious? When am I contagious? All these things. So I definitely have some stats from Johns Hopkins. I can never say that, whatever. And WHO and things like that. So I definitely wanna make sure, WebMD, I wanna make sure I go over this. But, okay. There's so many frustrations when we get herpes because we're like, am I contagious? Am I not contagious? Can I be intimate? Can I not be intimate? Am I gonna transmit this to people by being in the car? I'm not kidding you. I get asked questions like, can I ride in the car with my nieces and nephews? Like, well, just me being in the car expose them to them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this breaks my heart when I hear things like this. It breaks my heart when I hear parents saying they don't get in the pool with their kids because they're afraid, even though there's chlorine, that the herpes virus will transmit to their children. So they've missed out on Marco Polo. It breaks my heart when I hear parents saying that they don't hug or kiss or touch their children because they're so concerned that they're gonna transmit it. So let's just talk really quick about herpes is transmitted, because what I want is for you to live a life. I want you to love your life. I want you to live life. I want you to have human to human or human to pet contact. I want you to kiss people. I want you to hug people, and I want you to love people. So herpes is a skin to skin transmission, which means it's transmitted skin to skin, right? So if this hand is contagious, this hand could potentially pick it up, right? I'm not saying my hands, but I'm using this as like an example. So when we're talking about how often are you contagious? So should you be using antivirals, condoms? Can you transmit it? We think that like once we have herpes, we'll just always transmit it. Like we're always contagious. Like we can't hug people. Anytime we'll have sex, we'll just transmit it. So that's not the case. So here's where I wanna get to my statistics, right? So obviously if there is no outbreak, then most likely we're not contagious. And what I mean by that is there is this thing called asymptomatic viral shedding, which means that the virus is contagious at this point. The virus is shedding, it's ridding of viral DNA. When that happens, there are no symptoms. It's asymptomatic. It pops up to the surface and there's no tingles, itches, anything like that happens. And we are able to transmit the virus at that point. So that's usually the scary thing for us is like, okay, I know if I'm having an outbreak, but there's still this viral shedding. Talks about here from Asexual Health Association, ASHA, it says that we are most contagious the first year that we have herpes. So that is when we have the most outbreaks, it's when the virus is doing what it is trying to be in control here. So that's when we're most contagious. Hold on, Scarlett, I lost my dog. Okay, great, sit. There's a little bit of different information here. So I'm gonna go with the high number, but I have information here from Johns Hopkins, I always wanna say Rumpelstiltskin, Johns Hopkins, and then I also have some information from WebMD. So I will have this all linked for you here. Johns Hopkins says, many patients will shed the virus and be contagious. You're on a downstay, Scarlett. I'm gonna start that over. From Johns Hopkins says, many patients will shed the virus and be contagious when they don't have any symptoms. That's what we were talking about earlier. We were talking about asymptomatic shedding, right? We don't know that we're contagious. Studies have shown that asymptomatic shedding occurs between 1 and 3% of the time in patients with HSV-2 genital. Now, I don't know what that is for HSV-1. I don't know what that is for HSV-1 oral or genital. But right here it's saying we are contagious 1 to 3% of the time. Then there's an article here on WebMD that says these asymptomatic herpes carriers shed infectious viruses 10% of the time. Of the 30 or more days that were in a study reported by the University of Washington Research, Anna Wald, MD, and they noticed, so what this means is there's no signs or symptoms. So we're contagious either between 1 and 10% of the time. I'm gonna lead with the 10%. just so that we're a little more cautious. Now, what does this mean, right? So you're contagious 10% of the time, you're contagious 3% of the time. Should we have sex? Should we not have sex? Should we worry about transmission to our partners? What I really want to hone down here on is this is something that's between you and your partner. You and your partner need to have this conversation. What do you feel comfortable with, and what does your partner feel comfortable with? Because what my husband and I feel comfortable with may not work for you, it may work for you, right? So in my opinion, there's 3 things that need to happen in a disclosure. Once those 3 things happen in a disclosure is when you can proceed and know that you've disclosed, that person is accepted, and it is now their decision and their choice. Number 1, is that person over the age of 18? Can this person legally make his or her own decisions? 2, is this person competent? Like, are we not missing a link here? Like, are we competent? And 3, is this person not under the influences of drugs or alcohol, right? So what I mean is you don't have this conversation with a 17-year-old while you're high, right? Like, bad decision. So once these conversations have happened and you and your partner have decided, hey, you know what? I'm not comfortable with that 10% risk. I want to use condoms. Or, hey, I'm totally comfortable with that 10% risk. We don't need to use condoms. Or you know what, let's use the antiviral, or let's use a combination of both. So my point in this is it's really individual, and it's an opportunity for you and your partner to have a really detailed conversation about what you feel comfortable. All right, let me know what questions you have on this. Put it in the comments, I will respond. If this whole thing about dating is very new to you and you haven't even disclosed yet, I have a toolkit for you. It is linked for you here. It has over 14 different videos that walks you through disclosure from A to Z of how to do it, when to do it, when not to do it, types of partners, all sorts of things like that. So I will have it linked for you. I will see you soon in the next video. Thanks for joining my dog and I. You missed it before camera. She had a big shit right there. Yeah.